everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to the conversation. So today we're going to be talking about my man, Shaquille O'Neal, the big diesel Superman himself. Now, I've been watching these interviews by Kobe because he's doing an interview with Valuetainment, and he's talking about his playing career, and a lot of it has to do with untold stories. And they asked him on the channel, Patrick David asked Kobe, he was like, listen, man, how good was Shaq if Shaq had put in all of that effort, if he put in all his effort into basketball? And Kobe goes, Shaq would have gone down as the greatest player of all time. Now let's think about that for a second. This is a competitor, a contemporary, a former teammate that used to play with Shaq, and one of the players, I'm sure he regards himself as one of the best players of all time, if not the best player of all time. If you ask Kobe privately, he'll tell you that. And he's saying that Shaq would have been the greatest player of all time. For him to say something like that means that we have to sit back as basketball fans and really look into what he meant by saying that. Now, Shaq was a multiple-time All-Star. I have some of his stats in front of me, and I'm going to read it off to you guys. I mean, now currently, he's 47 years old, but when Shaq was in the league, he played in Orlando. Now, let's look at it. Shaq won 4 NBA championships. 3 of them came back to back to back. 2000, 2002, and 2003 when they won, 2000 and 2002, sorry. He was the most valuable player in the league in the year 2000. He's a 15-time All-Star. He's a 3-time All-Star game MVP. He's made multiple defensive teams of the year and multiple All-NBA teams in the year, and I think has about over 30,000 points scored in his career. Now, the thing to think about when you hear a statement like that is you have to go back and look at the numbers. Shaq played for so long, but he was so dominant especially early on in his career. But the funniest thing was that when Shaq got into the league, and he'll tell you himself, is that he really didn't value much of his dieting and practicing, especially over the off season. Shaq would say that he would go hard in the regular season. He wouldn't really practice much, and in the off season he wouldn't really do much after that. And then he said that some of the reasons why he didn't do that, if you watch one of the sit down between Shaq and Kobe, Shaq said, why the hell am I going to be stressing myself out like this when I know I got you over there, referring to Kobe, that's going to be working your tail off throughout the summer? And Kobe said that's one of the things that irritated him about Shaq. Another thing that really drove Kobe crazy, and I'm not here attacking Shaq, I'm just trying to delve into the point of, could Shaq have truly been the greatest player of all time? He said that a lot of times Shaq would tell Kobe, a lot of the spats that they had and friction that they had on the court was that they'll be on the court and Shaq would tell Kobe, throw me the ball. And Kobe would be like, run to the post. And Kobe, the opposing team would shoot a rebound. Everybody would be sprinting back and forth up the floor 3 or 4 times before Shaq could get down the floor. And they would go into the huddle, and Shaq would be like, give me the ball, give me the ball. And Kobe would be like, okay, I got you. And never do it, and never do it, and never do it. And he would tell him like, yo, man, just get your big butt in shape. And this caused them to actually get into a fist fight, I think, during the practice. Now, why is that? I believe that Kobe was so fierce about winning and so committed to winning, and he was looking at this dude who was a physical specimen, because Shaq, from a physical standpoint, was the most imposing, dominant force in basketball. Now, some people may say Wilt Chamberlain was, but if we're going to talk about the modern era, Shaq was like 350 pounds, 7'1", and he was mean and he was aggressive and he would talk trash and he was really competitive. And when he got on the court, he just dominated defenders. He completely dominated the game. The only thing that held Shaq back was his conditioning. That was his Achilles heel. His conditioning. Forget about his free throw shooting, because his free throw shooting is something you can practice, you can go in the game. But if Shaq was in better shape, he could have played much, much longer at a higher level. And they asked him, they said, Kobe, how many rings do you think you and Shaq won? He said, if Shaq took the game of basketball as seriously as he should have, I would have 12 rings right now. Listen to that statement. He said he would have had 12 rings if Shaq had really taken basketball seriously. Or if he took it serious, let's say 90% seriously, he would have probably had 8 rings, 9 rings, because he was that dominant. And Kobe was so committed. Now imagine if you had somebody, Shaq was just as committed and tenacious as Kobe was. Shaq probably could have gone down to be the greatest player of all time. Now, some people may debate about that, and that's for those to debate about. But when Kobe says that, we have to sit back and think. And you know, it makes us have like a thought experiment to go back and look at those numbers and look at those videos and see how dominant Shaq was. Now, my question to you guys is, do you think that Kobe Bryant is being hyperbolic? Maybe he's just over exaggerating by saying that Shaq could have gone down as the best player, or do you think that he actually had a point? For me, I don't think that Shaq could have probably. Yeah, I'm not going to say that Shaq would have been the greatest player had he done all of those things, but for sure it makes me think about it. It's not like saying Steve Nash could have been the greatest player of all time had he trained more and all this stuff. No, that, you know, obviously, you know, you can't say something like that. But when you talk about Shaq and how dominant he was going back to back to back, and you look at his numbers and the things that he used to do to defenders and the problems he would cause. I mean, some defenders used to say, like, thank God he's playing in that conference. This is Eastern Conference players. Like, man, let them deal with Shaq. Think about that. They're like, let those players in the Western Conference have to deal with Shaq. We only got to see him twice a year. That's what opponents were saying about Shaq. So what I want to know is, do you think Kobe has a point, or do you think that he's just over-exaggerating? If you agree with him, please let me know what your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you disagree with him, let me know what you think in the comment sections below. Once again, this is Charles here from DreamersPro. Wishing you guys a great day. Peace.